the field track star.
My man Sincere.
What's going on, everybody? Sincere's in the building. Tell him. Well, okay. When everybody got here, I was hearing about this thing called a drought. I was like, what is the drought?
Yeah.
And I heard that Sincere is the one that came up with this concept of the drought. So since we have him here, I wanted to ask him straight up, what is it?
All right. So label this as a sincere moment. I need you to hone in on, ladies, if you're out there. Guys, maybe you can, take advantage of this information as well. Anyway, here's the drought. The drought happens right around, I said, about 29 or 30 for women. What happens is they meet this one more guy, right? And he's a good guy, like a good guy. He treats them nice. He takes them places. He does well. Well, here's what happens. For some reason or another, maybe for, vain reasons or maybe for other reasons, they don't appreciate him. They get rid of him, right? So I don't know. I'd rather maybe it's too short. His mustache is too big. For some reason or another, they're not with him. You know what I mean? They get rid of him, right? And so they go into the next phase of life. And when I say the next phase of life, I mean after school, that whole college thing. Mm-hmm. College is a great time to meet a guy. You know what I mean? You get past that stage, you don't meet a guy, you go into the next phase of life. That's the early work phase. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where you're still kind of at work and then maybe in some clubs and maybe, you're involved in some stuff. And then after that, you get into the real life career phase. I think that's around 30, 31, right? You go into that phase of life after you've ditched this last hope of a guy who was there for you. You ditch him, right? And you go into this next phase of life. And during that phase, between the ages of 30, 31, 32, up until maybe even 45, 49, 52. You go into those phases of life in what I call the drought, when there are a severe lack of guys who are interested, who are good enough, who are whatever. They just don't meet the criteria. When you had that one last guy, but you treated him bad, or you got rid of him, and you are so deep in the drought, it's hurting you. And that's the drought. And there are 40,000 women in this drought right now.
40,000 women in the drought right now.
I think I underestimated. There are probably over 100 million women in the drought.
Now, what makes the drought so bad?
I think what makes the drought so bad is that it's avoidable. The drought is avoidable, but certain women get caught up in certain things. Like women get caught up, and men too. I mean, let's be honest. And I don't know how many guys are in this so-called drought, but I really think it's a woman thing. But I may be biased, but whatever. So I kind of feel like you go through that age. I think it's so bad because you can prevent it. You know what I mean? Like if you kind of focus on how you're being treated by a guy during those before you enter the drought. Because once you're in there, it's hard to get out. But once you're in there, if you focus on how you're being treated as opposed to the little vain this and that and this and that, I think you can avoid the drought while you're in a time where a lot of guys are around.
I think this is so interesting that we have a brother telling us about a female epidemic. So I'm real curious, oh great relationship guru.
Yes, speak.
How can one avoid this drought as a woman?
All right, so ladies, listen. All right. All right, good. And my baby's so wonderful. She avoided the drought, and she wouldn't have faced it. She's a wonderful woman. Anyway, some women go through this drought because here's what you do, right? When you do meet a guy, just look at your circumstances first. First of all, right now, if you're still in that age where you're 27, 28, you have a whole lot of girlfriends. You know when you have a whole lot of girlfriends?
Yes.
You go out with your whole lot of girlfriends and stuff like that. And y'all go to places like maybe the movies. Maybe you go out, get some drinks every now and again. And you're still in that crowd where guys don't think they're bothering you when they come up to you. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So when you're still in that phase, right? If at that moment you meet a guy, right, and he's good. He's good to you. You know what I mean? He smells good sometimes. You know what I mean? And,
sometimes.
And if a guy smells good, 70% of the time, you've got a good guy. Anyway, if he's around, right? And he's around, he treats you well, he's consistent. You know what I mean? He has the core values of what you would consider, the 80-20 rule? Let's break that. 70-30. If he has 70% of the things that you want the most, you see what I'm saying? He's a good guy, just a good guy. Find out about him. And don't just let him go because of some vain reason.
Let me ask you this. Does the famous list from women, does that make a lot of women in a drought?
The list is the main reason why women are in the drought.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I am being like triple teamed right now.
No.
Where's my backup?
No,
Lord?
peep game. Now here's a question: what's on your list? Now my wife had a list. I didn't know, but she had a list. But her list wasn't he has to be 6'2" and his hair has to be wavy, and he has to like drive a certain car and he has to make income above $50,000 a year. It wasn't that. That wasn't on her list. What was on her list was things that God, like she felt that these are the things that God would want me to seek in a husband. You see what I'm saying? And if I don't know if God's like asking you to seek $80,000 a year in your next husband.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? What's on your list?
Yeah, I got you. And I mean, again, going back to your lovely wife, which you will consistently and always refer to, which is good. It's good. A list is good. I definitely think every woman should know what they want and what they're looking for. But you have to, on that list, have your negotiables and your non-negotiables, and your non-negotiables should really be more internal than external, honestly. Like, they should deal with a person's character, a person's walk with God, attributes, personal attributes that will balance you as a woman. I think sometimes where we women get in trouble is our list consists of Denzel Washington, and then at the end it's like, oh, and let him be saved too, and that shouldn't be the case at all times. So
that's very true. I have a story of two women, right, who went down two absolutely different paths. One woman is right in the middle of her drought, and it's so sad. And the other woman is on the other side, and here's how it happened. I have a friend. Her name will be left out, but I have a friend.
We looking like, don't say that.
I know, right?
Please don't.
But I introduced this friend to a guy, right? So she meets the guy, and he's a nice guy. You know what I mean? He's just a genuinely nice guy. She gives him at least a chance, right? Because I kind of introduced him. And then, he takes her out on a date and stuff like that. She comes to me, she says, I don't know if I can deal. He's very short. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like he's not really short, but when I wear heels, I'm 6 feet and he's 5'10", and it's hard to deal with for me. You see what I'm saying? And I said, yo, I don't want to slap you, but I want to let you know that this dude, he had taken the first date was at Emerald's. You feel me? Like, he got dressed up for this date and went all out. He was so gung-ho for this woman. You feel what I'm saying? The first date was there, and everything after that was like in great places. I was like, yo, he's going hard for you.
Yeah.
You feel me? You may need to give this a second go, let go of your heels, maybe wear flats, and see where this goes. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
She took my advice. She's married now, and she's having a great life with her doctor of a husband who's making over $200,000 a year. Anyway, so that's
Thank
one
you.
woman.
Sincere, aka eHarmony.
That's one woman. The other woman, right, who was probably, they were around the same age, about 29, 30, right? So this lady, she had a guy. I didn't introduce this directly. This is an indirect, correlation. Anyway, she was hung up on a couple of things, right? For one, his job was there. Like, he had a pretty decent job, but it wasn't good enough for her. Like, she wanted, but it wasn't good enough. It was close, but it wasn't good enough. There was some other things that, didn't necessarily match with her, because this money thing was a huge issue for her, right? And so that relationship failed. The next relationship after that failed, right? Same issues, same money issues, same ambition issues, right? He's not as ambitious as I am. I want stuff. I don't know if he wants it as much as I do. That kind of stuff was happening, right? And so while that was happening, she let him go. She let him go. She let the next one go. Not to say they were awesome guys, but they were guys nonetheless. She let him go. She let him go. She let him go. And guess where she is right now? Deep in drought.
Thank you.
So what's the side effects of the drought? What are some side effects that, the drought
Loneliness
causes?
and depression. Those are some side effects. Being at those single conventions and being one of 100,000 women with 3 guys in.
Now, I know somebody's offended right now, and they feel like they didn't do anything wrong to enter into this drought.
Exactly.
They didn't give up no guy that they really feel like nobody wants them. What do you say about that?
Exactly.
Comb through your history. Honestly, maybe your drought started early. Maybe you were 26 when the last guy came by and you treated him wrong.
So what about
So
no,
it's always the woman's fault that she's in a drought. Is that what you're telling me?
9 out of 10 times.
This is a mess. Let me get on here and rep for the women real quick.
All right,
okay.
You give me a story of a woman who's in a drought right now that has nothing to do with her.
There are, first of all, plenty of women that choose, because of whatever standards that they have, not to date for a season. Now, that season could be elongated beyond their control because of that stance or because of those standards, but I don't necessarily think that's always a bad thing.
Now, that's not a drought. That's a choice.
Now, what's the difference between a choice and a drought?
The choice, like she just said, was those women have chosen to take themselves off the market for a period of time because they want to get whatever's right with them correct.
Yes.
Because they feel that that's a God-driven thing. Some women have taken themselves off the market completely. Like, I know a lady who's like, I'm not slated for marriage. She's taking herself off the market completely.
Gotcha.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
The women who are in the drought are the women who are like, when somebody says, oh, and this is the way you get a man, and they say, yes, Lord, I need a man. You feel me? Those women. Those women are not by choice, not dating.
Now, let me ask you this: Are there false choicey women that's acting like they're not in a drought? Like, meaning like, I don't need a man. I don't need a man.
Those women are in denial. I mean, I'm being honest. Here's my expertise. I'm just saying who I am, right? This is the guy who I am. Before I met my wife, I was a consistent friend guy. And there's a couple of friend guys in the room right now, right? I mean, there's all kind of stuff. I was a friend guy. I was the guy who was the friend of these women who are in these situations, right? That's the perspective that I'm speaking from. Like, I talk to them on a consistent basis about the choices that they've made. I actually talked to them when they were talking to the guys. When they were talking to the guys, they would talk to me. They would tell me his attributes. What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? And I would say, that sounds like a good dude. Yeah, but his left teeth is a little more yellow than I wanted. You feel me? Not the front two, but the one on the left. It was a lot different. Anyway, so I would talk to her, and I would ask, not her, them. I would talk to them on a consistent basis. This is like, I think if you looked at my phone back in the day, man, I had so many friend girls. It was so crazy. I would talk to all of them, and a lot of them made a lot of choices of vain, like listy decisions.
Now, let me ask you, and I'm not going to negate any of that. I will say this in the defense of the woman who is looking for a man that earns a certain amount of money. Women are taught, and I mean taught literally from their parents to society at large, to seek a man that can provide financial security. That's key. Like, a woman needs to know that she can be taken care of. Now, I will say this. A woman can be taken care of with a $40,000, $50,000 salary just as much as she can be taken care of with a $100,000, $200,000 salary. So, there's definitely wiggle room in there, but from a cultural and even I'll go from a biblical standpoint, we're taught to seek financial security. Now, we can get that skewed at times and expect everybody to be millionaires, but I will say that comes from a legitimate desire, okay? And then I will also ask you, just like you're accusing women of being picky at times with their list,
yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that there are men that have and are experiencing this same level of pickiness where they want Halle Berry and they want a Barbie doll, and because they don't get that, they're not satisfied or they're not happy or they're passing over legitimately good women?
That's very true. No, I mean, just if we're dead honest, that's very true. Like, there are a lot of guys who are doing the exact same thing where they're passing up on a lot of really, really good women who have a lot of great attributes because Atlanta's 10-1, right? I mean, close to like the 10-1. And because they're 10-1, like, if a good girl's here, but I mean, I'm not rating girls, but if a good girl's here and she's a 6 or 7, and there's an okay girl over here, she's a 10. You know what I mean? I know it's a whole different topic and conversation, but if that's the situation, he's weighing his options because there's so many options out there. I have a homeboy right now, like, kind of, experiencing some of those situations as well. Can't decide what should I do because there's so many choices out here, right?
Wow.
He can end up in what's the man drought when you're the 45-year-old in the club still. You see what I'm saying? That's not a good look either.
Or he could be stuck with a 20-80 instead of an 80-20.
Yeah, he could be.
In the words of Jill Scott.
That's very true. That move was classic. But yeah, that's very true. What I'm saying is that I would say this to and I think you would say these things to women because they listen more. Guys don't really listen to this type of information. Some do because they're looking and they really want to. Some women will listen more because some women like immediately put this in their thing. What I would say is this: one key thing: focus on treatment. If you focus on how a man treats you, does he treat you like a queen when you're going the first date, second date, third date? Is he consistent with that treatment? Is he the type of guy who'll give you everything? He'll give his all, even if he is not making $40,000-$50,000 a year. Will he give you $100,000 a year effort in your relationship? Because that man, when he gets the money, that man will treat you like a queen for the rest of your life.
Preach up.
So that's it.
Wow. That is Sincere with his sincere moment. We just coined that. So, all right, man. Yeah. So, of course, we're going to try and make this go up on YouTube, and I know there'll be a lot of opinions. This may be worse than when I did Christian Girls Aren't Sexy.
I think, but the real thing about this is, at least he was balanced. You know what I mean? Like, even with us, it's not confused. Like, they was like this, confused about it, but this is honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then another thing is, the words expressed by Sincere is not.
Yeah, but the problem is when we got in trouble last time when we did a topic like this, it was from the same drought group that he's talking about.
Yeah,
they don't like to be blamed for their situation.
But Maya held it down. She held it down for him.
Even though it was 3 against 1.
I didn't say anything. Yeah, okay. All right, let's get back.